Hello, this is the first video I'm going to be speaking in, and I may do more of these as time goes on. I don't know if I will be voicing. I'm still back and forth on if I want to voice any gameplay videos, but as of right now I wanted to get this video out as, you know, I kind of want to get my opinions out regarding the current collabs that we had previously and the one we're currently in. Now, these are just my opinions on how I'd like for them to move forward with collaborations and things I would like them to do for the abilities they give us. But overall, I am appreciative that they have given these collabs for free, actually. I think it's very generous for the dev team to have given us 2 collabs so far and not have to waste, not necessarily waste, but use our currency for these banners, because I believe if we could, we probably would. We would spend our currency on these banners to max out these abilities, because they are the rares and super rare, or not the rares, the URs and the SRs are almost completely unique in what they do, while the rares are less so. And I'll get to that later on, but I do want to say that the collabs have been nice. They have actually been really good. They've been helping out people with getting free eggs, getting, let's say, new abilities to have in their back pocket if they ever say, like, you know, maybe this character will come out and we could use this more efficiently and things like that. I do kind of have like an outline. I'm not very good at speaking. I'm not very articulate when it comes to to saying these out loud. So I wanted to go over, I have like 3 sections of pros, cons, and then what I'd like to see moving forward, or how collabs move forward from this point on after Resonance. So again, going over the pros, I think it's really cool of them to give us these abilities, such as Ject, Tyro, the Dark Pain, and the Rain. While Rain and Tyro are both almost exact copies of different SRs that already exist, I believe that they are still usable, at least comparatively to the rares. These collabs help out a lot of the free-to-play players, especially for anyone who's hoping to save up for a character that they want that could eventually come out. I think that the banners also being free by giving you tickets is probably the best thing they could have done, since it doesn't allow us to use our currency. I do also think that it'll allow them to give us unique abilities. This first one being the Archwitch of Hessen Bahamut Dark Pain. Being a hybrid between Hope and Shooting Star or Auron. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I actually no idea. I think was actually a really cool idea. I actually think it's really interesting. Doing, especially for melee characters and perhaps even agile characters, really a majority of characters except for maybe the support characters, since it is based on damage dealt. I think it's a really cool idea for them to use this, especially because it kind of allows everyone to now have the same passive ability that Furion has, which allows him to heal HP, whenever he does damage. Now everyone kind of has that access. As for Ject, I think it's actually a really cool idea because it's almost an alternative of Renoa's Frigid Ice, I believe is what it's called. It's her rare, Frigid Rain. which hits in a cone in front of you. So now it allows other characters to kind of have this same ability. I've seen a lot of Onion Knights use it. I've seen a lot of anyone that really farms use it. Agile characters mainly. I almost never see it on any melees because I don't think melees really need it. They're mainly using Ace and Shooting Star and I believe Tifa. Yeah, they use Tifa as well. So like any characters like Agile supports, I see it being used a lot on them. And then, of course, eggs, being able to stock up on eggs for any abilities that come up later that you're just like, oh, I really need to get this. It'll be really useful for the way I want to build this character, because the way you build any character is completely unique. Though, even with all that said, I do still have some problems with it, in which how they give limits, the same limits to these collab abilities as they do to the base roster of abilities. And that's more so with this collab than it is with the Record Keeper collab. I think for getting the Record Keeper collab with both, or with all, not both, but with all Garnet, Zac, Tyro, and Jekt all being very interesting, I think my problem mainly stems with Garnet. Garnet being the starting one, I was okay with it. And then it became Fina. Fina, I kind of hoped that it would be more, again, unique, that they would increase her amount, especially for being a collab ability, and for having to gain the same amount of copies that a rare would need to increase its level cap. So as of right now, I have my Kira at +6, and then Fina's I only have my Fina currently at +4. I do still have some summons left to do with the remaining tickets from the playing for 6 days, as well as the daily logins. Now, to go back to Fina, I kind of wish that they had increased her amount of healing to make her seem more, I suppose, usable would be the best word I could probably give, because I'm not very well worded, I think is probably the best way to put it. I'm not knowledgeable in like probably like what words would properly convey what I'm trying to say. Fina doesn't seem at all any different from Kira, except for the fact that she increases attack. Everything about Fina is the exact same as Kira, except that, well, it's named Fina, and Kira gives HP while Fina gives attack. That's the only difference. It's the same cooldown time, same amount healed, and the same element typing. I wished to show off that she was a bit more unique, that they had increased it or changed it up a little. So we technically don't have a teammate. We have a full heal, a full party heal, which is literally just called heal. And it does heal the same amount. So it kind of gives you this idea of like, why would I ever run Kira if I could run heal? Because heal gives the same amount, and it does for your teammates. Now, it does have an increased cooldown. I believe it's a total of 14 seconds that's increased in cooldown, in which I feel like they could have given that uniqueness to Fina, where maybe she increased your HP by 50% or 45%. At most 55%, but that'd probably be pushing it. Same thing goes with Laswell. Laswell is almost an exact copy of Blizzara, except for the fact that Blizzara increases 2 stats, but has the decreased amount of attack. So Blizzara increases defense and HP. Laswell only increases HP. The other 2 stats are way below comparatively. Now again, these are free abilities. Not really much you could really say about them, but I feel like this again still goes back to, I really wish that they had treated the collab abilities with a bit more uniqueness, in the fact that we can only get a certain amount as of right now, and the fact that they also do not provide as much. Now, this is coming from someone who's already spent maybe about $500 on the game because of my favorite character, Clive, and then having spent another 200 for Sephiroth when his banner came out. I would like to see them treat the abilities with more uniqueness. Now, I know that's probably difficult to do, especially since this is a gacha game and they kind of have to treat these free abilities kind of as... they have to give them as little as possible, especially since they are giving them to us for free, and we kind of have to accept that. I just wish that they did give them a bit more uniqueness. And I was going to mention the usability, but again, as I already said, they're just copies of other abilities. I think the only one that's unique is out of the rares is the Zack one. I don't think we have a rare ability that does any knockups, at least not in the way that Zack works, because we do have Fira, which does launch them into the air, but I believe Zack knocks them into the air with multiple hits. So it's not just like a single hit, it's multiple hits. So his is just slightly more unique. Laswell is essentially the exact same as Blizzara. There's almost no difference. If you are free-to-play friendly, you probably would use Laswell over Blizzara. But if you had Blizzara like at a higher... If you had Blizzara, you probably would... I would probably recommend using Blizzara over Laswell, mainly because of the stat increases. Now, the last thing I want to go over is how I'd prefer them to go over collabs from this point forward. But this is not something that this is not something I'm saying that they are going to do. I'm just saying this is what I'd like to see at best. Just making the abilities, the rares, at least more unique. I know the super rares and the rares as is already seem special in a way because not very many people use Tyro. At least comparatively to, let's say, Ramza, because Ramza does give 80%. So if you have Ramza, you'd be using Ramza. But I do see Tyro being a very good option, especially because there is no SR equivalent of Tyro in the base roster. I believe the closest we have is Embolden, which only gives 50% of your bravery. Tyro gives 60%. The only difference is that it gives HP instead of attack. It is also a fire, while I believe... Embolden is also fire. So I personally see Tyro being a good example of what they can do, because it makes it so each version of every ability is available in each rarity. And with each new character, we'll really, based off of Sephiroth and every other character that we've come so far, we've only ever gotten new UR abilities. We haven't gotten any new SR abilities. I believe the only new SR we got, was this 3,000 growth eggs, but I'm not exactly sure. I believe it might have already been there since the beginning. I can't remember off the top of my head. The only two extra abilities we got were Tifa and Aerith. We did not get any new SRs. But with the collab abilities, we did get new SRs. Rain is essentially a copy of Firaga, except for obviously the stat spread. So I believe the stat spread for this one is just increasing attack, while Firaga increases both attack and defense. Defense mainly. If I would just like to see more of the rares get more shine. Obviously, there's a point in which you can't really use these because you have the SR, which has a better version, or you have the UR, which has a better version. Tyro essentially having a rare equivalent and a ultra rare equivalent, which is Embolden and Ramza. This is the really good middle ground if you don't have either of them. But obviously it had to come if you were playing at the time when it released. Rain is essentially just another copy of Firaga, but he'd be really useful if the fact that you don't have a high level Firaga, like a high level cap Firaga. So if, let's say, your Firaga is only +2 or +3, as of right now, with just only not even completing all 120 tickets from the collab, because I have the season pass rewards, I already have it at +4, which means it is possible for anyone else to get a +4. Obviously, you could get unlucky, but it's still over that fact that if you're not as willing to spend money for the game, you would just be in a position where you would have this at a higher copy or higher level cap compared to the one that's already in like the base roster of abilities. Archwitch of Hesam Bahamut or Dark Pain. This is probably my favorite collab ability so far because of how it is a mixture of two different abilities. Not necessarily like base abilities, or how should I word this? It's my favorite hybrid ability because it's almost essentially almost a hope and almost a shooting star. Even though it doesn't do knockback or it doesn't launch foes into the air, I believe all it does is just damages anyone in front of them and restore HP by 100% of the damage. Now, is it bad? No, I personally like the idea. I just believe that only certain characters will be able to use it. But that doesn't change the fact that it is a unique ability that is now added into everyone's roster, especially because it was free. I think the one thing that was really cool about this collab compared to, or the one thing I find cool about the Resonance collab compared to the Record Keeper collab is that it didn't require you to summon. All you had to do was log in. You got one copy of the UR. Record Keeper required you to summon 3 times, or summon for 40 pulls 3 times to get 1 copy of a UR each time. So every 40 summons you got 1 UR copy. This one, however, is slightly different in the fact that they changed it from 40 to 60. So now you have to do 60 pulls to get another copy of a UR. But it made it so even if you didn't summon because let's say you didn't have time, like you had other things going on, they took it into account that, okay, all you have to do is just log into the game and you get 1 copy of the UR. I personally like this a bit better. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but being able to just log in and get the UR is, I believe, a much better fashion when it comes to collabs. My final thoughts, I think the collabs are still good. Obviously they're just personal gripes. They're nothing major that need to be changed. As someone who wants to see this game grow and gain more people as time goes on, gaining more and more characters, because there's so many other characters they can still add. I know they've already listed out the next 3 months for characters, because I believe the next character is Final Fantasy X, if I'm correct. I already forgot. I have to look back on it. And then there's still the 2 other ones that they've announced afterwards. I would like to see them start kind of treating collab abilities as unique and have them give more, again, uniqueness to them. I'd rather them just be special in their own way instead of just being copies of abilities that already exist. Tell me what you guys think. Again, I'm not used to, or I don't know if I mentioned it already. I'm not very articulate. I'm not good with words, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on this. Let me know in the comments what you guys feel you guys would, or what you guys think of the collab so far. Again, I'll say it. Resonance is probably my favorite one so far, especially because I actually used to play Brave Exvius. Though I only played in the very starting few weeks of the game, I dropped it soon after, but I did still enjoy it because it was made by the same company who made a different phone game, Brave Frontier, and it gave me a lot of nostalgia. So thank you for watching, and leave in the comments what you guys think of the collab so far, and I will get back to making videos. Thanks.